everybody for joining today. We're so glad that you're here. We're excited to bring you another Blue Circle Health cooking class. We hope you enjoy it. Rita, let's do some quick introductions. I'll do some housekeeping, and then we'll get started. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Sounds good. Thanks, Scott. So I'm Rita Rubin. I'm one of the diabetes educators and dietitians here at Blue Circle. And I have worked with and supported people living with type 1 diabetes for about 28 years and have taught tons of cooking classes during that time. It's one of the things that I enjoy the most. And so I'm so glad you're here.
And my name is Scott Johnson. I'm a senior manager of community here at Blue Circle Health, and I've lived with type 1 diabetes for about 45 years. And just appreciate you allowing me the honor and privilege of hosting today. Now, Rita is going to guide us through a delicious, smoky, sweet potato and black bean chili dish today. And I'll share the recipe in the chat in a moment, and then also send it out via email along with today's recording. And just a quick reminder that we're experimenting with a slightly shorter class time tonight. So if it feels like it's going faster than usual, that is not your imagination. So before we get going too far, I do need to cover some quick housekeeping items. We build these classes and webinars specifically for people living with type 1 diabetes, but we recognize that there may be caregivers and healthcare professionals joining too. And we welcome you, and we're glad that you're here with us. We do welcome and encourage you to use the chat feature along the way. I'll keep an eye on it throughout the session if you need anything or have any questions along the way. This session is being recorded. Participation in the event is voluntary and may reveal your identity and any identifying information that you share with other group participants. So, for example, comments in the chat and during discussions. We are not providing medical advice, individual or otherwise, and we may refer you back to your healthcare team for detailed and individualized answers. And finally, for anyone who is not familiar with Blue Circle Health, stick around till the end, and I'll share a brief overview and answer any questions that you have. Okay, I know that was a lot. Thank you for your patience. And let's go ahead and get started. I will switch it over to you, Rita.
Thank you. And again, welcome, everybody. So glad that you're here. And I think probably wherever you are, things are getting a little chilly outside. So I think it's the perfect time of year to make chili inside. And I don't know, I love this time of year. I don't know about you guys. When fall arrives, I'm thinking chili, soup, stews, making big pots of things that I can stick in the freezer for leftovers or in the fridge. And leftovers always taste better the second day on those sorts of dishes because the flavorings get to like settle and mingle. And so today's chili is really simple, and there's about 1 million different chili recipes out there. But the main ingredients in this one are potatoes, sweet potatoes, and black beans. And I think that they're just a great combo for flavor and texture. And we also have some onions, some fire roasted tomatoes, some chipotle chilies, some other seasonings. So, but really, really basic and simple. So to start off with, we're just going to saute some onions, and I pre-chopped the onions because this batch of onions that I got have been really, really strong. I'm putting a little olive oil in my pan, and I was cutting them earlier, and just tears, and my nose was running, and it was a mess. So I figured I would spare you tonight, so it's just a chopped onion. That's it. And I'm making actually half a batch of this recipe. If you make the whole batch, it's about 2 cups of a chopped onion. This is about a cup. It's about a medium-sized onion for the whole recipe. And the reason I'm making half batch is I've been eating a lot of chili. So working on a recipe, you just like make a lot of the stuff that your recipe is for. So I was kind of getting tired of it. So this batch is actually going to go in the freezer when I'm ready to have some chili again. So I'm just gonna turn up this heat a little bit, and while those onions are sauteing, that's what it looks like there. We're just gonna get them started, and I'm gonna cut up my sweet potato. So there's a lot of different kinds of sweet potatoes out there on the market. You may have seen different colors, and there's your standard orange sweet potato, often called a yam. So orange flesh, orange skin, and often called a yam. It's actually a sweet potato. It's all in the same family. But you can also see that there's other potatoes out there, like this one has like a purpley skin, but the inside is yellow. That's also a sweet potato. And there's also these beautiful sweet potatoes that are purple throughout. And I think those are native to Okinawa. And so each is a sweet potato, each has a slightly different level of sweetness, I think, and also texture. So some are more like white potato like. These yellow guys, I think, are a little bit more of like a white potato texture. The yams, the orange ones, and the purple ones are a little more yummy. But any color you want, they're all good. And I prefer to leave for the recipe here, leave the skin on the sweet potato because it does offer more fiber. And anytime I can add more fiber to a meal, I try to. Because, as you know, with diabetes, that fiber can slow down your digestion just enough sometimes where it slows down the delivery of carbohydrates, glucose into the blood, right? So you may have more time for that insulin that you're taking for your meal to get in there and get ready to catch that glucose when it arrives. So I'm cutting my sweet potato in kind of smallish chunks. The smaller they're cut, the faster it'll cook. But I'm also thinking about like what size I want in my chili. Do I want a big chunk of sweet potato or do I want a smaller size? So I'm just adding this to my pan of onions because we're going to start the cooking of the sweet potato just with a little saute first. So what do you guys like about sweet potatoes? Tell me, have you tried the different kinds of sweet potatoes that are out there? What do you think? Do you have a favorite sweet potato way of preparing or preparation or recipe? Tell me your sweet potato stories. It is, I believe, sweet potato season right now, just like pumpkin spice. I think that's when we start to crave these root vegetables, right? Yeah.
The fact that they're so delicious, but also easier on my blood sugar, and I feel like I'm doing something good for myself whenever I eat sweet potatoes. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, they're so packed with nutrients. It's incredible. More than a white potato, for sure.
yeah, yeah, for sure. We've got another great comment. Says, my sweet potatoes are always so difficult to cut. I like all of them and have tried cutting them all. So what is there anything any tips or tricks as far as cutting our sweet potatoes?
Yeah, they're kind of dense, aren't they? They're hard. So, with cutting any harder vegetable, I always say, if you can cut it into smaller pieces, like before you really start attacking it. So cut it in half, and then get yourself a nice flat surface, like roundish vegetables in half, and then get a flat surface. And then maybe cut that piece in half again. So you've got, smaller pieces. And then just sort of tackle it like that. So that might be easier to cut. I don't know if that it offers any advice that was helpful or not. But having a good knife, and solid surface, you may have to away from the blade, obviously. Maybe push down on the top of it and give it a little extra oomph. That can sometimes help too. Make it manageable and easy. Right. So sweet potatoes are pretty cool in that they have a good amount of fiber. Like a 5-inch sweet potato has about 4 grams of fiber, about 26 grams of carbs. But what's really cool, I think, about the sweet potato are the colors, because the colors are actually phytochemicals. So chemicals that are in plants, they often give plant foods color, and they have these like medicinal qualities. And the phytochemicals in sweet potatoes, can range from, like I said, orange, yellow, and purple. So they all have various levels of antioxidant, anti-inflammatory effects. And there's actually been some interesting studies on sweet potatoes and a protein that's in sweet potato that has shown some protection against certain kinds of cancers. So oral cancer, colon cancer, and I believe cervical cancer, studies with humans actually um, show some effects on cancer growth. So negative effects. So, and then like Scott says, you may notice that a sweet potato might not hit you quite as hard, as far as blood sugars are concerned. And there's also another thing about sweet potatoes that you may notice the way you cook the sweet potato may affect how it affects your blood sugar. And that, yeah, you may have heard of something called glycemic index, which is an estimate of how food might affect your blood sugar. And the higher the number, the more quickly that food may convert to glucose. And they find, and there's been a lot of studies on this with sweet potatoes, that if they're cooked more in a wet cooking method, which is stewing or boiling, they actually have a lower glycemic index than if they're roasted, baked, boiled, fried, whatever. So you may notice if you cook them a little bit differently, they may have even less of an effect. But any way you eat them, they're good for you. So enjoy them in any way. So my potatoes are pretty good, my onions and potatoes. And so I'm going to add some spices now. And I have some whole cumin seed. And you can also use ground cumin. If you use ground cumin, you might use a little bit less than the recipe calls for. And I just happen to like whole. And because I think, if I don't use up a lot of cumin, the whole preserves the flavor in the seed a little bit longer so that the spices don't get stale. And we also have some oregano, dried oregano, and some smoked paprika. So this recipe actually doesn't have any chili powder in it. And like I said, if you have your own blend of spices for chili, use it in this recipe. I happen to like this because I rarely have chili powder around. And I really like the flavor of sweet paprika or smoked paprika. So paprika is just a dried red pepper, red sweet pepper, and it's ground. And the smoke, they smoke it before they grind it. And then the last thing is a little bit of adobo and chipotle chili, or chipotle chili in adobo. Probably the more accurate way of saying it, which gives it that little bit of heat. So, so chipotles are just jalapenos that have been smoked and then dried, and then they're rehydrated in adobo sauce, which is usually, there's a million recipes for adobo, but it's usually a base of tomatoes and vinegar and garlic and usually some other spices, maybe onion powder, oregano, cumin sometimes a little sugar. These happen to be canned. They're just Goya brand chipotles in adobo. And play with the amount that you want, the amount of spice that you want, because I'm not really great with spices, so I only use a little bit of that. Oh, garlic. Forgot my garlic. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. I don't want my spices to get too brown. But let me chop up some garlic. This is a giant clove of garlic, so this is actually equal to about 2 cloves, I think. So I think I'll just chop one of these up and put it in my dish. So that's it for the flavorings, plus a little salt. That's it. Pretty simple. Do you guys have some favorite chili recipes or favorite chili spice blends that you'd like to share? Again, I'd love to hear what other cooks are doing and what your favorite things are. So tell me a chili story if you have one.
I always like the idea of chili, but then I'm kind of simple when it comes to the things that I typically like to eat, where I don't really like a lot of stuff mixed together, and I haven't been very adventurous with my seasonings and spices. But Rita, I have to say, um, you know, watching you and learning about this makes it a little more interesting and easy.
Oh, well, that's great. I'm so glad to hear that, Scott. I mean, that's the whole purpose here, right? Is to give you guys some ideas, show you really how easy it is to cook at home with whole nutritious foods. So that I'm so glad to hear that. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
and we do also have another comment
Yeah.
in the chat asking about, can you put all this in the slow cooker? Uh,
Yes.
she makes all her chilies in a slow cooker, and it's so much less work.
It is. I agree. I love slow cookers. Yeah, you could just combine all this and walk away. I think it's awesome. Definitely. So I'm adding some liquid here. So our sweet potatoes are actually going to be simmered in some liquid. So will have potentially a little bit lower glycemic index because they're being technically boiled. So I've added some vegetable broth that I just made. You could also buy vegetable broth. You could just use water, chicken broth, any kind of broth that you like. It's so easy to make vegetable broth. All I did was, if you've got some carrots and onions and celery, you can make a vegetable broth and throw in maybe a bay leaf, a little garlic, maybe some dried spices like herbs like thyme or basil if you'd like, a little salt and pepper, and just let the veggies simmer until they're soft, and then strain it, and you've got veggie broth. So it's very easy to make at home. And you can also think about other flavors you might want to introduce to the broth that might go along with the dish that you're making. So with the veggie broth I made, I actually added some stems of cilantro to it to give it that extra flavor, because we're just building flavor in layers in these kinds of dishes. And now I'm also going to add some canned roasted, fire roasted tomatoes. So that goes in there with the juice. And again, just another opportunity to add flavor. And this is just the Contadina brand uh, fire roasted diced tomatoes. It was what was on sale.
Right.
So,
We did,
yeah.
uh, we did hear from Sherry. She said in the comments that she was going to share that she likes to do a white bean chili with
Mm.
turkey and add cinnamon to it, and that recipe has won her a few chili cook-off entries in the past.
Well, you have to share it then. I think that has to go on the website somewhere
I
for
I would
sure.
agree with. I think a great idea.
Yeah, thank you, Sherry. Yeah, share that recipe. That's wonderful with cinnamon. Yum. That's so interesting. Yeah, really. I mean, that just says, recipes are so versatile. You can do so many things with some basic ingredients. So I've got my potatoes and onions and tomatoes simmering. Now I'm going to add some black beans. And black beans are another one of those marvelous superfoods. And you can use canned. You can also get dried. You could cook them in a slow cooker or a pressure cooker. I actually tend to cook my black beans in a pressure cooker these days. And what I'll do is I'll just take the dried beans, which look like this. Right? Are they beautiful? They're so beautiful. And I'll soak them overnight. I do that if I use a slow cooker too. Is I like to soak them overnight. And then I drain the water away from it and rinse them and then stick them in. If I'm using the pressure cooker, I put them in the pressure cooker and then I fill it with water till about a thumb's length over the beans. That always seems to work for me. And then I throw in some salt, maybe a bay leaf at the minimum. That's kind of usually all I do. Maybe some smashed cloves of garlic. And then bring it up to pressure and then cook it for about 12 minutes, take it off the stove and let it come down naturally. And it's perfect beans, the perfect texture. In a slow
Can
cooker, yeah.
Yeah, tell me a little bit. That's what I'm curious about and again, I don't know anything about any of these kitchen appliances, but what's the difference between a slow cooker and a pressure cooker? I mean, I assume a pressure cooker builds the pressure but tell me a little more about how you use those two.
Yeah, great question. So you can see there's a bay leaf in here. That's from when I cooked my beans. So yeah, a pressure cooker is one exactly where it brings it up to a very high pressure inside the pot. And it looks like this. This is my pressure cooker. And you put your stuff in there and then you close the lid and it locks. So that's locked. And then what would happen is on the stove, as it increases pressure, there's this little gadget here on the end, and that would rise. And the higher it is, the higher the pressure. And you usually have to adjust your temperature on your stove so you don't blow up the kitchen. Now, I've never blown up a pressure cooker. There are safety features. And then you can cook it at like a medium or high temperature for the period of time that you like, and then either take it off the stove and let the pressure just come down naturally, or you can take that pot and stick it in the sink with cold water running over it, and then it releases the pressure right away. And then once it's cooled down, it won't let you open it until it's cool enough. And then you just push it open, and then you open up the top. So that's a pressure cooker. There's also an Instapot, which has a pressure cooking feature to it. Same thing. It's just high pressure cooking, and it just makes the cooking process really short. And a slow cooker is more like it's a simmer. It's a slow simmer over many hours. So either 4 to 8 hours, depending on what you're cooking. Usually, with my black beans, I'll usually if I soak them overnight, I cook them for about 4 hours on high. So just slightly different. Yeah. So my chili is simmering here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the beans. So black beans are, I think, the most powerful beans out there because they're packed with antioxidants, more antioxidants than any other bean. And that's because a black bean is actually not black, it's actually purple. And you may have, if you've ever made black bean soup or soaked black beans, you'll notice that the water is kind of purpley color. And so they're just a deep, deep purple. And any of those foods that are deep purple have a lot of benefits. And they contain phytochemicals called anthocyanins. And those are really particularly helpful for preventing or reducing cardiovascular risk. So it can help lower your blood pressure. Those anthocyanins can also help with vasodilation, which is the stretching of your blood vessels as your heart pumps, that's why your blood pressure is lower if your vessels can stretch. There's some good evidence it can help lower insulin resistance, reduce blood clotting. So, and I think there's some anti-cancer benefits too. I think like breast cancer and colon cancer. So, just very, very nutritious. And beans are so packed with other nutrients, right? We know that a cup of black beans has 15 grams of fiber, 15 grams of protein, about 30 grams of carbs. So super nutritious. Yeah. And that's it for the chili. So while this is simmering, I'm going to chop up some cilantro. And I forgot, I was going to put a little bundle of cilantro stems into my simmering chili just to give it another extra layer of flavor. Anywhere you can add flavor, it really helps bring out, make the dish taste a lot fuller and richer.
And you've got those bundled together so that you can easily grab them out when you're ready.
Yeah, I just tie them with some kitchen twine, and then after it's all done, you can just take a pair of tongs and pull them out.
Yeah. Neat.
Yeah. So we'll just top it with some cilantro and some lime juice. I like to add a little lime to it to really brighten up the flavor. And I think I might just add some right now while it's simmering. So I'll just squeeze about half a lime in here. And I find that the acid really helps to balance those rich flavors of the beans and the potatoes and that sort of thing. So yeah, anybody else have a favorite chili recipe they'd like to share? Or
I'm
chili?
still my mouth is watering thinking about Sherry's
Yeah.
prize one recipe. So we'll have to get our hands on that.
Yeah, Sherry, if you can share more in the chat, let us know what the other ingredients are.
Yeah, it sounds like she had to jump off for a patient appointment, but she'll get the information over to us.
Very good. Very good. I'm excited to hear about that. So yeah, that's it. So we'll when this is done, we're gonna just top it with some cilantro and maybe if you have some avocado, and there's your dish. Really, really, it's going to be a nice filling meal, a little bit slower to digest with all that fiber and protein. Probably won't create a big spike in blood sugar right away, but maybe more of a kind of a slower curve because of all the other nutrients in it.
Those are just the kind of blood sugar spikes or curves that we're looking for most of the
Right,
time. So
right. Yeah, nice and gentle again, so that insulin can get in there and be ready when the glucose shows up.
yeah, we've got another comment in the chat. It says I have lime and lemons I grow, and right now I'm
Mm.
ready. Can I use those instead?
The lemon, there was what? The
Meyer lemons.
lemons. Oh, that would add a different flavor to it. Yeah. Um, so Myers have like an orange kind of flavor, don't they? It's like an orange and is it orange and a lemon combined? They're delicious. Yeah, Meyer lemon is for, I think it's a little sweeter than a lemon, right? So yeah, try it. Try it. It'll be a different flavor profile than a lime, but it could be equally as good. Definitely. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
she says, yeah, she can just eat them right by themselves. Yeah, that's great.
That sounds so good. Actually, it makes my like I get a little puckery thinking about eating a lemon. So here's my beautiful roll of chili.
Oh, that looks so good.
Smells delicious. And the longer you let it cook, the thicker it'll get, right? And if you want it a little more soupy, you add more liquid. And that's kind of it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that this is a good leftover recipe that it stores well, and often the flavors get a little more rich
They
the
do.
longer you. Yeah,
They do. Yeah, I think really any kind of soup or stew or anything like that, it really does improve the flavor as time goes by. And if you can also add some ingredients to this, like say you wanted to put in a bunch of spinach or some other greens into the chili, would add another layer of flavor and some more nutrients. Great way to eat greens, I think.
yeah,
That's something you're trying to incorporate more of.
yeah, definitely. Well, I think it's about time for our voting
Oh
for
yes, that's right.
next month's recipe.
Yeah.
Before I do that, another comment, I just throw about 4 to 5 types of beans in the slow cooker with stewed tomatoes, cooked ground beef, onions, other spices, and tomato juice. It's like a traditional chili.
Yeah.
Um, but it sounds like she also puts in jalapenos that she grows too. That sounds delicious. I love that.
Delicious. I love it. Yep. Yeah, it's so much fun to just play with stuff and find out what the combos are that you like.
Yeah, and chili, it's one of those things that you can just kind of, put a bunch of stuff in there and it's hard to make it go wrong, it sounds like.
It is. It is. I agree. Yeah. For me, the main thing that goes wrong is I put too much spicy stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big spicy guy either, so I can see myself doing that as well.
Yeah, I always say start slow. Start
Because you
low.
can this is in after you've cooked it too, if it's not quite enough. That's a great idea.
Yeah, but you can't get them out once you're in there.
Yep, that's a great point. All right, I'm going to get the poll up here
Great.
for December. Okay, so we have two options. The first is sautéed tilapia with roasted red pepper relish and blistered green beans. The second option is three holiday veggie sides. Pan roasted Brussels sprouts with lemon and Parmesan, skillet roasted carrots with parsley and za'atar, which is a delicious Middle Eastern spice blend, and then whole pot roasted cauliflower with tomatoes and olives. So
Mm,
leave that up on the screen here, and uh, got votes coming in. I'll keep an eye on that. And I'll also send this out in the follow-up email as well so that we can get some more votes in as well. So far, the three holiday veggie sides is winning.
fair.
So that's great. All
Yeah,
right. Thank
it's
you.
fun with veggies. There's some really easy ways to just make them fancy,
Yeah.
but they're basic vegetables. But just if you fancy them up a little bit, and they are perfect for a holiday table.
Yeah. I love that. That sounds
Mhm.
great.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think with that, I will start to do some of the closing housekeeping here. Again, we really appreciate you attending and sharing your time with us today. Learning more about nutrition and food. It's such an important part of living well with diabetes. So you should be really proud of yourself for being here. We certainly are. And then stay tuned for future events like this. We have a great webinar happening on Wednesday at 6 p.m., where we're going to be bringing in a couple of special guests to talk about aging with type 1 diabetes. Again, that's happening on Wednesday at 6 p.m. And we have our English group sessions on Thursday and Friday, the 6th and 7th, with the Spanish group session happening the following week, the 13th. Um, Then on November 18th, one of our favorite speakers, Carrie, will be presenting a webinar for the Diabetes Link about how to navigate coming home for the holidays with T1D. And you're all welcome to join that. And then finally, our next cooking class will be on December 1st at 5:30 p.m. So you can check out our website events page for more information and to register at bluecirclehealth.org events. And yes, I see your question about registering for the Wednesday night webinar, and you can find that information on the website. Okay, great. And then finally, please do share your feedback depending on how you joined. You may see a survey once you close out of here or in the follow-up email. And we just would love to know if this was helpful for you and what other topics that you'd like to cover. All right. And then for anyone else here today who may not already be familiar with Blue Circle Health, I will share a quick 5-minute overview and then stick around to answer any questions. So will Rita drop off? And for those who are already familiar with us, you can also drop off anytime you like as well. So Rita, thank you again so much for your time and expertise today. We really appreciate it. All right. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to walk through a quick overview of what Blue Circle Health is all about. Please share any questions you have along the way in the chat, and I'll go through them at the end. And again, this should only take a few minutes. So really what this comes down to is that people with type 1 diabetes shouldn't have to fight for what they need to live. Blue Circle Health created a free 6-month virtual clinical care, education, and support program for adults with type 1 diabetes. So you can focus on living and not just surviving. Our mission is to learn the best ways to care for people living with type 1 diabetes, apply those learnings to care for as many as possible, and share our learnings to improve type 1 diabetes care everywhere. Blue Circle Health is made possible thanks to the generous funding from the Helmsley Charitable Trust. So, what exactly does that mean? We offer a free, flexible program to extend care between visits. Our program is up to 6 months long. It's done entirely virtually over Zoom, text, and phone. You stay connected to your medical homes, and we send regular updates to them throughout your process and progress in the program. Our services are free regardless of insurance and immigration status, and re-enrollment is possible 1 year from the original enrollment date. And our program offers as much or as little support as requested, which means you can take advantage of every service we offer or pick just the ones that you need. So the graphic on the right here shows the available services, and I'll describe them in a little more detail, going counterclockwise and starting with clinical care. So clinical care is exactly what it sounds like. It's visits with an endocrinologist or advanced nurse practitioner. Next is insurance navigation. So this is consultation with insurance specialists who can help you really understand and maximize any insurance coverage you may have, help you find insurance coverage if needed, and help with prior authorizations. Next is diabetes supportive counseling, which offers help with the emotional burden of T1D. Then we have case management. Our case managers can help if you're struggling with food, housing, or employment insecurities. Then we have peer support and community. So, in addition to the monthly group sessions you heard me mention, you'll have a dedicated T1D support guide to work with who will offer you help to navigate all of the other services and just really be there for you if you need someone to talk with. And then we also have ongoing community events like this and connections to other great type 1 diabetes community organizations. Next, we have education and nutrition. So that is visits with registered dietitians and certified diabetes care and education specialists like Rita and Sherry, who you saw and heard in the show today. And then there are two additional programs available within the Blue Circle Health program. The first is prescription assistance program for qualified applicants who need help paying for supplies and medications. The qualifications for that is an income level at or below 300% of the federal poverty level. And then there's an Intro to CGM program, which provides 3 months of free education and access to a CGM for those who have not had reliable access to one before. We are now available in 17 states and Washington, D.C., with more coming very soon. And we've helped almost 1,000 participants since January of 2024. And it's really easy to get involved. In fact, our goal is to make it easy. So eligibility requirements are as follows. You have to have a diagnosis of type 1 diabetes. And no, this does not just mean newly diagnosed. We're here for you anywhere along your T1D journey. And yes, this does also include LADA and things like that. You have to be 18 years or older, speak English and or Spanish. You have to be able to connect and participate in virtual care, which means access to a smartphone or a computer for Zoom video calls. You do have to have a primary care doctor or endocrinologist, or be willing for us to help you connect to one. You have to live in a state where we're currently licensed in, and then no current pregnancy. And again, the list of states we're available in it's growing fast. So head to our website for the most current list of states. And when it comes to getting started, you can get started in just 3 easy steps. First is sign up on our website at bluecirclehealth.org. Next, we'll contact you to create a plan that meets your needs. And then you start your T1D care and support program. So I'm going to play a short video from a few of the people who have gone through the program. It's about 3 minutes long. And while that's playing, go ahead and share any questions you might have in the chat, and I'm happy to stick around and answer them.
When I explain it to people, I usually say,
living with type 1 diabetes is pretty burdensome, complicated,
It's really, really tough.
challenging.
Too many ups and downs.
I'm never not thinking about it.
I lose a lot of sleep. It's very emotional.
The only predictable thing about type 1 diabetes is that it's unpredictable.
It makes me feel really vulnerable and afraid. And I don't like feeling afraid and vulnerable with my diabetes.
My daughter was diagnosed when she was 3. You know, if I couldn't afford for both of us to get supplies, I'll just literally take the shirt off my back, take the insulin out of my body and put it to her.
like, it's a battle every day. And insurance shouldn't be such a fight.
I literally spent days on the phone calling the provider, calling the pharmacist, calling the insurance, calling the pre-op company, and then calling all those people again to tell each other what the other one said.
It's like everyone's pointing their fingers at someone else. In the meantime, I'm watching my supplies dwindle away to nothing.
Like, that's a constant fear, you know?
And so things that feel like a fundamental right are out of reach for many people.
It's just wrong.
A friend of mine on Instagram sent me Blue Circle Health, so I immediately signed up.
Blue Circle Health is a nonprofit with a free clinical care, education, and support program. We deliver our program entirely virtually. It's all telehealth, and it's up to 6 months long.
You get education, you get support, you get assistance navigating insurance. It's phenomenal.
I don't know where I would be right now if I didn't find Blue Circle Health. They picked me up when I was at one of my lowest points.
It's just honestly a godsend.
Felt like they get it. It felt like we're making the change that we should already have. We were really fortunate to have funding from the Helmsley Charitable Trust to make this possible and create this program and be able to offer it for free.
My life has like drastically improved. I have really great insurance. The insurance counselor through Blue makes me like that emotional, but like having to not worry about the financial aspect of that as a single mom who's like rebuilding is, yeah, it's really like comforting. Yeah, I'm crying.
And if Blue Circle Health can get out there and show people that this is the right way, it's the right thing to do. You don't have to go through it alone.
All right, thanks for taking a look at that with me. I don't see any questions that have come in, so again, thank you, and please visit our website at bluecirclehealth.org to learn more and sign up. Thank you.